LBC Money Hour.
With Scottish Widows, experts on pensions, life insurance and investments.
LBC, I'm Clive Bull with the Money Hour. Now we continue the pensions theme, and thanks to Scottish Widows, I've been talking to their Stuart Hopley, a pensions specialist. We're going to look in a minute at some of the emailed questions that have been coming into LBC via the website. But first, I asked Stuart to go through some of the basics of pensions and the potential benefits.
I guess the core benefit of having a pension is it pays you an income when you stop working. Obviously, we don't want to work right up until our dying day, of course. So we do need to save for the future to make sure that we get that amount of money and enjoy a comfortable retirement. I guess the benefits of saving into a vehicle that is called a pension is ultimately you get some tax savings, you get some tax relief. The amount that you pay in gets topped up by the government. If it's a workplace pension, then the amount that you pay in also gets topped up by your employer as well. If you're self-employed, the tax relief works in exactly the same way. And actually, with larger pension contributions, the self-employed can actually bring their overall tax bill down. So really great benefits, both in terms of saving for the future and fundamentally a really tax-efficient way of saving.
Quite a lot of people have a pension or possibly several pensions. I know one of the problems is if you don't really keep track of things, how do you find out what pensions, work pensions you've got from previous jobs?
A real big problem, as you say, particularly with auto-enrolment. You're automatically put into pensions. And of course, if you've had a number of jobs, then quite rightly, you'll probably have a number of different pensions. Equally, you can transfer one pot to another. So it may be that you've already made some form of consolidation rather than having lots of different pots dotted about. You can do a couple of things. If you can remember where you work, write those names of those employers down. You can go onto the government website. If it's an occupational pension scheme, it will tell you where that scheme is. And you can then contact the provider. If it's a personal pension scheme, then that employer could potentially tell you where it is, and that could be across a whole host of different providers. So writing down a list of where you worked is the starting place, but there is a tracing service on .gov.uk that can help.
And I don't know whether there is an accurate answer to this question. How much could you look to save into a pension? Is there a sort of set amount that you should be putting away?
It's like anything, as much as you can afford. But at Scottish Widows, we recommend around 12%. We've been running our retirement report now for 16 years, and it looks at how people are adequately saving, and we've always used 12% as a recommended level. Obviously, for some, that's not enough. Particularly if you started later in life, you might need to save more to get an adequate level of income in retirement. So there is no one answer. As much as you can afford, and start as early as you can.
And actually, is it ever too late to start a pension?
Never. No, never at all. With the tax relief that you get on every contribution you put in, it doesn't matter what age you are, you can save and receive tax relief on your pension right up to the age of 75.
And at what age then can you start drawing out from your pension, and what kind of restrictions are there?
So generally, that's age 55. However, some schemes might have a slightly different age, and certainly you can access your pension early if you are in significant ill health. But generally, the age is 55 that you can access your pension.
And when you get to that age, or whatever the age you decide is going to be your retirement, what are the options for what you actually do with that pension?
Lots and lots of options. So first of all, you don't actually have to retire to access your pension. Plenty of people remain working but access their retirement savings from age 55. Some people use it to have a slowdown into retirement, or a sort of reduce their hours at work and top up their income through their pension. But you can get lots and lots of ways to access your pension, either as a lump sum, a regular income, and even you can have a guaranteed income in retirement, which some people might know as annuity as well. The key with those retirement options, however, is get some support. There's lots of education and guidance out there from pension providers, and you can get access to advice as well, either through your pension provider or through an independent financial advisor. So don't muddle through it on your own. Go on to pension providers' websites to access some education, and certainly the guidance and advice is out there if you're looking for it.
OK, we're going to look at some specific questions now. We've been asking people to email in their questions via the LBC website over the last few weeks, and here are some of the questions I'm going to fire at you, Stuart. First of all, well, very topical, of course, everyone wants to know, how has COVID-19 affected pensions?
Obviously a really important question, and one we've gone out of our way to try and answer at Scottish Widows by providing a lot of support on our website. People will clearly be worried about what's happening to their finances in the current climate. And I guess there's two things I'm going to say. Number one, pensions have some protection wrapped around them in the way of a compensation scheme. It depends on the type of pension you have, particularly if it's a workplace pension, but there are compensation schemes that wrap around it if the provider and or your employer runs into financial difficulty. For the most part, people will have what's called a personal pension, or in the workplace, a group personal pension. That is covered by 100%. 100% of its value is covered by the Financial Services Compensation Scheme. So people should feel really confident that they're not going to lose all of their money because of COVID-19. However, if I look at the investment risk, people's pensions are invested to make money in the investment market. And of course, in the current climate, sentiment and also performance of companies has affected the value of people's pensions. And people will have seen their values reduce because, of course, it's linked to the stock market, and obviously that has seen an impact from COVID-19. So there's two fundamental issues there. You're not going to lose all of your money. There will be some form of compensation scheme wrapped around your pension, and you may, however, be exposed to investment risk through the way that your monies are invested.
OK, here's another email. I'm nearing retirement and markets have taken a hit, as we were just saying. Should I delay my retirement to allow them to recover?
Of course, if your circumstance allows it, that might be something that you consider. But remember what I said earlier about you've got lots of retirement options. You don't have to take all of your pension in one go. Your pension fund hopefully has accumulated to a reasonable amount of money. So you could start to dip into that and leave the remainder of your money invested. That's called income drawdown. You definitely would need some guidance if you're considering that option, but it is a flexible income option rather than buying a guaranteed product with a lower fund value. So yes, you might consider delaying your retirement. You might say, actually, don't go full retirement, reduce my hours at work. But equally, if you do want to retire now, well, why shouldn't you? And you can, certainly through the flexible income drawdown option, you can access your retirement savings.
OK, next question. How can I boost my limited pension without leaving myself living below the breadline?
Well, it's always a challenge. You asked me earlier, how much should you save? And my answer initially was as much as you can afford. And absolutely, you don't want to push yourself below the breadline by saving an exceptionally high amount into pensions. So really, it is a case of paying as much as you can afford, looking at all of your household finances and paying what you feel is reasonable into pension. For every £8 you put into pension, the government will boost that to at least £10. So it is a really tax-efficient way of saving, and pension providers will accept almost any amount paid into pensions. So even a little bit can boost your pension.
Another email here, and this one, actually, the topic came up quite a few times. How do you see pensions for millennials in the future? Should we still be looking at pension options, or are we better off investing?
Well, of course, a pension is an investment. It's an investment for your future, and different investment options ultimately leave you with a pot of money or a value that you can access later in life. So actually, pensions just have a place in that investment climate. It might seem something really far away for younger people to think about saving for retirement. So actually, we do see some younger people investing in some other savings and later switching into pensions. I'm a great advocate in spreading your risk. So save for a rainy day. Do save for those medium-term pieces, but also save for the long-term pieces. And interestingly, the younger area is the largest increase in people saving adequately for retirement in our last retirement report. 11% increase in those people in their 20s saving adequately. So we are seeing evidence of people doing something or actually saving towards pensions.
And here's the next question then. How do I ensure my husband can't claim on my pensions if we divorce?
A tricky one, because the divorce law allows spouses to, well, it caters for pensions as part of the matrimonial assets. So equally, you can't necessarily ensure that your husband can't claim on your pension, no more than your husband can ensure that the wife can't claim on the pension, or any other spouse for that matter, of course. What is important is that you both, within a relationship, save for retirement individually. Pensions are an individual product. However, you should look jointly in terms of your plan, and you should be saving individually into pensions. And if unfortunately that event does come to rise, then you've each got some form of pension planning. The divorce rules do allow pension sharing. It's quite a complex area. Many pensions are considered as part of divorce. Unfortunately, our research shows that many pensions are not, and we certainly advocate that people go into that with their eyes open and make sure that all of the finances are considered appropriately.
Right. The next question. I've always worked in the voluntary sector, and because of changes in funding, I've moved from job to job, so I have little bits of pension here and there. Do you have any advice for how to secure my future finances?
So as we said earlier, lots of people have lots of jobs in their life, whether it's in the voluntary sector or any other sectors. So it is a common problem. Listing out where you've worked is a great place to start. Potentially consolidating small pots into your main active workplace pension is generally a good idea. Certainly, you don't have to consolidate. As long as you know where things are, they'll always be there for you. So the main thing is awareness, knowing what you've got, and then understanding whether it's enough for you, and making some form of impact to increase to better your retirement savings.
OK, let's do one more email then. And this one says, how can we persuade teenagers and young people their pension is one of their most important financial investments? A problem of my own was not understanding the impact an insufficient pension has on later life. It seemed too complex then and confusing to grasp. Yes. Is that a message that needs to be got across?
Of course, really, really tricky. As I mentioned, people think retirement is years and years away, and of course for teenagers it absolutely is. However, the earlier you start saving, whatever the vehicle is, indeed pensions, the earlier you start saving, the better. So it's the concept of saving that we need to help young people understand. We see fantastic evidence of this happening. Our retirement report has shown an increase for people in their 20s saving into pensions, which is superb. So it really is about awareness, understanding what you have, whether it's going to be enough for you, and when you've got plenty of time, as teenagers do, compared to retirement, try and pay more into pensions to make a significant difference in retirement.
And thanks to Scottish Widows and to Stuart Hopley.